This topic I really love. I really love this topic of regret because I'm kind of an old man now for poker terms. I'm over 40 and I've been in poker world for more than half my life, or essentially my entire life since I was 18 years old, obsessed with the game. I've played for lots of money. I have played with uh, the big names. I have played all the games. I've been around and I've done lots of things, which means that I've done lots of things that cause lots of pain and suffering and regret. Things that just single decisions that probably cost me seven figures alone, and things that in the past would kind of just keep me up at night and also would prevent me from being able to move forward and do what needed to be done the next day because I was living in this pain and this fear of wanting to not have to go through that suffering again. And so over the years, I've picked up some things, learned some things, and really deepened my understanding of what creates the experience of true regret in a way that makes you unable to function at the level that you want, and also learning what to do about it so that you don't have to carry all of your mistakes with you. You're never going to completely get rid of your mistakes. That's impossible. That's the nature of the game. That's why the game is so beautiful and wonderful. But you will be able to learn how to move through them, to be able to learn the lessons from them and move on, which is essentially what the goal is for everybody. Is everybody wants to learn the lesson from your mistake and move on. But if you don't have a way of dealing with the pain, dealing with the discomfort that comes with the mistakes that you make, you're going to get stuck. And so that's what I'm going to talk about here today. So I'm going to move through these slides here and get going. So the regret cycle. This is probably going to sound and look familiar to you, but I want to kind of explain and break down the exact steps and how it works, right? And so the way it works is this, is that you'll be cruising along doing something, and something will happen, right? You'll do something that creates an outcome that you don't like, whether it's making a mistake in a hand, or maybe you don't even make a mistake, but you just don't get the result that you were wanting, right? So you could make the perfect play and you go bust. And then you go home and think about, well, what if I had done this other thing instead? Even though you know deep down that the play that you made was the right one, you still start to stew on it, and now your mind can't let go, right? And your mind starts thinking about it over and over and over. Wherever you go, it comes with you. You can't just drop it. And from there, now that burden, that heaviness, that pain, that discomfort, when you don't know how to move through it, it starts to come with you into your next session and the next part of your life and everything that you keep doing from here on out, right? So now the next time you get into a similar situation, you're still carrying that pain, that discomfort, and that association with the last event, and you have a strong desire to not feel that again. So as a result, what will happen is that you will start to make different decisions than you otherwise would in an attempt to avoid feeling that pain, that discomfort one more time, right? And so that now obviously will mean that you're playing worse than you otherwise would. And when you're playing worse than you otherwise would, that means that your EV is lower, you're going to make more mistakes, you're going to capitalize on your opportunities at a much less frequent level of consistency, right? Which means that you're going to regret that. And then you go back to the beginning, your mind can't let go of that. Now you've got two, you've got this new one along with this old one that is still there. And if you're not able to deal with this in a way that's healthy and sustainable, this will just continue for your entire life. And this is why for 99% of people who play poker, the experience is that the longer you play, right, the more that you start to have the experience where winning doesn't even feel that good. It's just kind of a relief, a temporary relief, a temporary break from the pain that is losing, right? And losing just feels more and more heavy and burdensome and difficult to tolerate the longer that you play. Well, this is the reason why, is because you just keep stacking up these experiences of not getting results that you're looking for. And as a result, when you're not able to move through them, uh, years and years go by where none of these things get processed, none of these things are able to get resolved, and it's just heavy, right? And so that's the essence of it. People try to get around this by learning how to play better and better, but you're never going to have a life in poker where you always get the result that you want. And even if you did, all the stuff that you're carrying with you from the past already is going to stay. And so I'm gonna, go through some techniques, some ideas that will help you significantly if you really apply them in your game and in your life. But first, I want you to just take a minute and, I want you to use this as we go along the presentation here. Think about one of the biggest regrets you're currently carrying with you, right? And think about your past here and think about what's something that frequently shows up in your mind where you'll just be doing something and then it'll randomly just pop up again. Oh man, I can't believe that happened. Oh, if only that had gone differently, right? And think about how much that impacts you in terms of your ability to stay present in the moment and actually do what you're currently doing at the highest level. Think about how many times this has happened to you over the course of not just maybe this year, but in your entire life in poker or just in your entire life in general, right? How much is this inability to let things go and move forward feeling good costing you, right? Really take that in because most people don't really acknowledge that. Most people just try and pretend that everything's okay, or they try a bunch of things that I'm going to show you next that also don't work. But first steps got to be in facing just how big the problem is, right? So usually once you give some attention to this, you'll realize, oh my God, I'm really thinking about this way more than I thought I was. I'm giving way more of my attention and energy to managing this than I thought I was. So yeah, think about it. Write it down. If you've got more than one, write them down because I want you to face all of them. And that's what I'm going to give you a way to do this today. But first, you need to know what you're dealing with. All right. So I'm going to talk a bit about uh, all the ways that you shouldn't do it first. I think that is a good way to do it. So if you know me, you know that probably my biggest pet peeve in general is the way that almost every single mindset coach in the industry offers their advice. I don't think that they are intending to be harmful. I think that they want to help, but they just don't have any original ideas, and they are just recycling things that they have heard that have been passed down to them in an attempt to help you. And basically, they don't work. They're terrible because if they did work, we wouldn't be here together. No, there would be nobody on this call, right? If any of these things worked, we wouldn't be talking. I would have no business. I'd be doing something else. But we'll just go down the list, right? So number one, oh yeah, just don't think about it, right? Put it aside or think positive, right? Try and change the thoughts that you're having as if you can just believe whatever you want to believe in that moment. And the reason why this doesn't work is because you can say, okay, I'm not going to think about it, but you're just distracting yourself. You're not actually making any kind of progress in terms of understanding the discomfort and having any more level of presence with the pain and the emotion that comes with the experience. You're just setting it aside for later, but it's got to go somewhere and it's going to come back, right? So any version of don't think about it, think positively, reframe the situation, it's fine. I tried my best. I made a good play. I would do it again. These are all ways that you are trying to use thoughts or lack of thoughts in order to not actually face the pain and discomfort that you're feeling, right? And so if you ever come across, and this is my best advice I could ever give you, if you ever come across a coach who, when you're feeling down and you're feeling upset and you're having issues that you can't let go of, if they start giving you reasons why you shouldn't be feeling how you feel, my best advice is to get out of there as quickly as possible because they don't understand that the only way through this is to actually face it and be with it. And what they're trying to do is alleviate your pain temporarily, but that's all it's going to do is give you a very temporary relief that's just going to come rubber banding back at a much higher frequency later on. So yeah, best advice if you ever have anybody offering you that advice, just be positive, just be logical. Think about it. You made the right play, so you shouldn't feel bad. You shouldn't be regretting this. I guess the modern term for this would be like gaslighting, right? They're telling you that you shouldn't be having the experience that you're having. they are making things way worse if you start to listen to them. All right, so that's number one. Number two, try and figure out like if you made a mistake, why it happened. And so this is, a slightly different version of number one, but this one keeps you slightly busier, right? Because now it makes you think that you can work your way through the problem through using analysis, through adjusting your strategy, through trying to figure out, why did I do this, when really like you can't actually know the true reason why, and it's kind of a chasing your tail kind of thing. And again, it keeps you busy, it keeps your mind busy, but it takes you away from actually facing the discomfort that you're in. And ultimately, it's not going to make the big shift because you're only going to have done some work on this exact situation that just happened rather than have an actual way to move into the next situation feeling completely confident that you can handle it, right? So it's not about like this one situation, it's about your entire relationship to dealing with discomfort and not getting what you want in general. That's the thing that needs attention, not like what did I do wrong in this situation? Oh, if I just adjust my pre-flop three betting strategy, I won't ever feel this way again. That's not it. You're going to find a million other ways to feel exactly how you feel now and a million other things that you won't be able to let go of. So it's not this thing that needs to be adjusted on a technical level, right? So that's number two. Number three, we can, talk about, let's make a plan. Oh, maybe if you slept better, I didn't sleep well that night. I need to study more. I need to put in more volume. If I had a bigger bankroll, I wouldn't have played scared. That's also not it, right? So, if you look at the theme from all of these things, one through three, the theme of it is that they are logical solutions, right? They're like, okay, you have a problem. Let's break down the problem here of, let's figure out what happened. But really, I want to invite you all to play a bigger game than this. I want you to play the biggest game imaginable, which is, what is it inside me that needs attention right now, in order to start feeling how I want to feel so that, setbacks and pain and frustration no longer keep me from being able to play the game I love, right? All of these other things, they're working backwards. And then what I'm talking about is how to move forward. And so that's the main difference. And the big thing that I always say on this topic is that, these approaches that most people will offer you are logical solutions. And so if you're sitting here thinking about them right now, removed from your issue, they make sense, right? Makes sense. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's talk about the hand. Let's talk about how I could prepare better for next time so this doesn't happen again. But the thing is, the thing that you weren't actually prepared for was to feel the emotion that you are feeling now, to feel the emotional pain and discomfort that comes from the experience that you're having. That's the cause of the regret, not that you made a mistake, but that you're unable to deal with the experience you're having now after the mistake or after the result that you didn't get what you want. So if there's a logical problem, yeah, logical solutions are great, but this is very much an emotional problem. And so if you're trying to use a logical solution to fill an emotional problem, all you're doing is giving yourself the wrong tool for the job. It's going to dig the hole deeper and train you to continue to believe that there's more external things that you could be doing to prevent this, to fix this, to change how you feel, when really the only thing that needs to change is learning how to be with how you feel. So that's what we're going to move into next. All right, let's get this slide here. All right, so with everything, the cure is to be more present, and this comes in two forms. And so one is inside the game, one is away from the game. And I'm actually gonna go in reverse. I think I like that better. So I'll start by talking about what to do when your mind just keeps turning something over, say after a session or before your next one, you just can't let go of that thing that happened. And so this is the thing that if you really buy into this and you really go all the way into this and you master this skill, you practice it, you decide it's going to be important to you, it will change everything for you. It will change your ability to move forward in poker. It will change your ability to move forward from setback in life. It will just change everything, which is, can you be in complete acceptance of the experience that you're having, right? Because all of that other stuff I just talked about, those are all reasons to reject just having the actual raw emotional, physical sensation and experience that you're having inside you in this moment, right? That is uh, the regret. And so you cannot go back and do anything different in time. The only thing that you can do right now is accept how you feel in this moment around the thing that you're thinking about, right? So every time that that thing comes back into your mind, so think about that thing that you maybe wrote down or thought about, right? Every single time that thing comes back into your mind, there is an experience inside you that is not just existing as a thought, but there's a full experience of feeling and emotion existing inside you that comes with that thought. And people who give no attention to actually being inside that experience and letting it happen and being okay with it, that's how you're going to deal with this. You will not only be able to not let go of this, you'll not be able to let go of anything else that's bad for the rest of your life. You'll carry them all with you, and you'll be completely unable to show up fresh and ready to play your best, right? Because you're bringing all your baggage with you every single day that you show up. This is why poker players burn out. It's not that you lose love for the game, it's that you get overwhelmed with how much emotion you're managing and carrying and not facing and not feeling, not accepting, not embracing, right? So you must go into it. So if you think about your issue right now, take that thing that you kind of replay in your mind over and over, right? Take that thought right now, notice, go outside of your head for an instant and check in and take a breath and notice what's the experience that comes with that thought. What does it feel like? And there's a million different things that you can be experiencing. It can be tension or heat or pulling or feel heavy, or it might feel somewhat nice too. There's infinite possibilities. Where do you feel it? What does it feel like? And can you just allow that feeling to be there and have total acceptance of this is how I feel, right? Without trying to fix it, without trying to make it go away. Accept it completely. That is what gives you the feeling of release, finally, after years or maybe even decades of turning it over in your mind. Each time it comes into your mind, your job, if you want to actually gain resolution on this, is to give yourself the time and the space to prioritize having the experience that you're having, right? And the gift of this is that you are able to completely accept that this is how I feel. You don't have to like it, but you do need to accept it. And once you do, now that frees up all the energy and that frees up your mind to actually see what happened in the first place and have a better understanding of what caused this. From there, you can start going into logic, right? From there, you can start building out plans. But until then, no plan that you build out is going to be relevant because you haven't dealt with the emotional issue that's happening in the first place. So that's what I recommend for doing anytime any issue comes up in your mind. You keep turning it over, think about it. Oh, feel the pain. Well, are you really feeling it? Or are you just feeling it for an instant and then distracting yourself? Right. So that's the difference between somebody who's using presence to move through your issues and somebody who's using logic to try and distract yourself or fix the issue. The logic aims to change how you feel because you don't like it. Presence oriented method trains you to accept completely how you feel. You don't have to like it, but you do accept it. You're with it fully, and that's what gives you what you need to be able to move forward. So going back to the top in game, the question I always ask is, what's your priority? Well, what I just talked about here, right, of feeling what you feel and being present with your emotions, present with your raw experience as it comes up, you need to decide that this is your highest priority when you play. If you don't, you're going to always find things that are more important than this to do, and those things are always going to tend to take you back into your head. You're either in your head or you are connected to feeling what you're feeling. And the more in your head you are, the less you're able to feel what you feel. There is a way to have both happening, but it does mean you're going to need to prioritize feeling what you're feeling, because in the world we live in today, that's something that very few people are kind of prioritizing. And so chances are the one that you're going to be deficient in, especially if you have things you can't let go of, is feeling what you're feeling. So you've got to decide that this is the most important thing as you're going. So if in game you're starting to realize I have trouble pulling the trigger, I have trouble with trusting my instincts, going with my reads. When I'm in a big spot, these memories of the last big spot or the last flip that I lost or the last cooler that I took are overwhelming me and getting me to not make the play that I deep down want to make, not making the play that I would make if it was just me talking about a hand with my friends. That's the moment where you've got to prioritize feeling what you feel and letting yourself have that experience. Otherwise, your mind will just freeze up and the fear, the burden, the pressure will overwhelm you and get you to make mistakes that, again, you're going to be setting up for new regrets that you're not able to let go of. So this process here changes everything. And it's super simple, right? I was able to describe it in like 5 minutes, but it is not easy to turn into your highest priority. That takes real dedication. So if we're talking about building a practice where you want to become a person who no longer suffers from constantly thinking about the past, who wants to be able to just literally just take each spot as it comes, right? That's what the mindset coaches tell you, right? Oh, each spot as it comes, just focus on the next hand. Well, that's not a thing you do first. That's your reward that you get when you have this as your top priority, right? They've got it backwards there. They're trying to like tell you you can just have the reward of not being results oriented and being at peace just by thinking about it. That's no, you earn that, right? You earn that through commitment to being completely open and honest with yourself around what you're feeling, letting yourself have that experience, no matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how painful it is, right? You need 100% commitment for this. And, you know, when I meet people and they want to come work with me individually, I always tell them this. I say, you know, you've been doing things one way, which is to try and get out of emotional issues using logical solutions. This is where you're at. This is why you don't have what you want. This is why you're feeling so much pain and burnout and not winning as much as you think you should. Why you have so much knowledge, but other people who aren't as good as you are winning more, right? This is the reason. And this is how you need to do it if you're going to change it. You know, you need to be completely committed to doing it a different way, because if you're even at 98, 99%, you know, every time you slip through this, it just sets you back, right? So you need total commitment to this idea that the most important thing is to feel my feelings, let myself have the genuine, raw experience that I'm having before doing what comes next. And ultimately, that is what's going to give you the feeling of not being results oriented, of being able to just play each spot as it comes. Because if you look back, you'll probably realize that the hands that you regret the most in terms of your biggest mistakes probably have less to do with the result than how present you felt in the moment when you made the decision, right? So looking back in my 20 plus years playing lots of huge pots for lots and lots of money over the years, um, you know, a lot of my favorite moments are huge, enormous pots that I lost that had, you know, a lot of money in them, where I felt completely at peace in that moment of making the decision, right? Some of the spots that I think about sometimes, even after all these years, are hands that I won, where I'm still like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And that comes from this feeling of knowing that in that moment that I made my decision, I was not feeling and facing and completely present in the experience that I was having. So total commitment is what will give you that release from the suffering, from the pain, from the constant doubting and second guessing of, am I doing this right? So that's the first thing that you need. Without that, nothing else that I tell you or anybody else tells you is going to work. You'll always find a way to sabotage yourself. So from there, if you do have that commitment and you're ready to like jump in and you're like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. I can see how I've been kind of screwing myself over in these situations. I can see how I've been keeping this going by trying to avoid the experience, by trying to be logical around the experience, by trying to talk about the experience instead of actually just having it. Well, now you just need the right tools for the job and some consistency, right? So number one is on you. I can't convince you to do that. But from there, you know, the right tools for the job, what we just did is certainly one of them, right? And then so from there, consistency and building a regular practice of making sure that you are prioritizing this and giving time to this each day, right? So I'm going to open this up for Q&A in a minute. I'm going to go check the chat box here. But if you want more of the tools, for everyone who joined my newsletter this week, I hope you've gotten the email I sent you. If you haven't gotten it yet, it was probably just because you signed up in the last day or so, and I haven't gotten to it yet. But I am sending everybody who joins my newsletter a copy of my book, Poker with Presence, right? And also my warm-up tape that many of my clients who pay me lots of money, they've been using for years and years, and they still love it after all these years. It still works because what it does is it invites you to actually be in your experience rather than get into your head. So, those are some tools that you can have right off the bat to help you move in this direction. If you want consistency, I highly recommend, along with reading my book, using that guided audio, reading the newsletter, because each day what it will do is remind you once again, oh yeah, these are the most important things, but it will remind you in a completely different way each day. And it'll just take a couple of minutes to read. But also I have, many people who have been reading, every day for years, because each time you read it, it reinforces, oh yeah, this is what's important to me. This is what I'm up to. This is how I want to live. This is how I want to be. Right. So highly recommend you do that if you haven't already. Head over to my website, pokerwithpresence.com. Just sign up for that. I'll get you all that stuff set up. And it's really up to you. You can go as far as you want in terms of feeling good and enjoying life, enjoying each hand of poker that you play. Like I've been on both sides of this. I have suffered greatly, especially in those earlier years when I was running up enormous amounts of money, especially playing online with the speed of the game and all that. Having huge amounts of success, but not being able to enjoy a minute of it. I've also been on enormous downswings, but in these later years, having big downswings, playing, high stakes cash games, and as I became a mixed game player, taking insane beats in all sorts of different ways when you start to play different games, but having total peace around it and able to just move forward through it, right? I've had the same experience in life. Times where life was really good, but I was unable to let go of things. Times where life is really hard just because, stuff happens, but feeling completely at ease in myself. So the what happens part, the what did I do part has very little to do with your experience of whether or not you're going to learn what you need to learn and move forward and start to get what you want. So on that note, I'm going to open up for Q&A. And I'm going to open up for these slides here, and then I'm going to stop the screen share in a second. But just take a second here, and if something feels relevant to you, go ahead and pop it in the chat. So what feels like the most important issue on your mind today? Where are you holding yourself back? Are you ready to do something different? So if you are ready to do something different, then go ahead and pop the question in there, put yourself out there, get curious about whatever feedback is going to come your way, right? And we'll take it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into the chat now and see how many questions I can get through in the next half hour or so, and we'll go from there. Okay. If there are no questions, I will go enjoy being with my little young child in the other room. All right, we got a question from Bill. I enjoyed your book, plan on rereading often. One of the messages in your newsletter that I feel others should hear is that pain is inevitable, but suffering is up to you. Yeah, so, happy to riff on that. Yeah, do you think entitlement is one of the biggest issues you face from clients? Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that I think that a lot of the mindset coaching industry will harp on is this idea of let's identify all the ways that I tilt, right? So I've got entitlement tilt, I've got winner's tilt, I've got loser's tilt, I've got boredom tilt, I've got jealousy tilt, I've got, everything else, right? And all that is doing, right, is intellectualizing all the different ways that you're experiencing discomfort, pain, and not feeling how you would like to feel, right? That's all it is. We're turning the emotion into this like logical thing and labeling it, and in doing so, creating more suffering, right? Because what is suffering? Suffering is not feeling how you want to feel, and then piling on more pain and discomfort because of that, right? Just truly resisting what is happening. That's where the suffering gets created. So pain, if we look at pain, that would be something just like, I take a horrible beat late in a tournament with a huge equity spot, one that doesn't come up very often, costs me, 6 figures in EV. I feel that deeply. I feel that, in the pit of my stomach. I'm sweating. I feel like somebody just punched me in the face, right? So that is pain, right? And that you have no control over. That's just the response that you're having. The suffering that gets added onto that is the resistance of actually having that experience, right? Of trying to think about it over and over, of doing everything except actually just feeling that feeling 100% with total acceptance, not trying to get rid of it, right? When that's what you do, you create suffering because now your mind can't let go. Now, 6 months later, when you're at your next big spot that comes up, all of a sudden you're in this big hand and you think about that spot, right? Oh, and then that kind of keeps you from being able to stay composed and paying attention to the details that are happening around you. Now you miss something, right? Or now you're in a big spot, and because you're wanting to avoid feeling that pain from before, because you haven't actually done it, you're going to make a different play than you otherwise would if that hadn't happened, right? Creating more suffering. So, yeah, pain, you have no control over the pain. Suffering, you do have control over. Like I said, it's a very simple process, but not necessarily the easiest when you've spent your whole life avoiding feeling the pain, right? So, one way or another, that pain's coming out. You're either going to feel it in the moment each time that it comes, which I think is ideal, or it's going to just show up in the most inopportune moments when you have the most at stake. That memory is just going to come flooding back at you and hit you again when you're trying to focus. Right. So it is really up to you. Like, how do you want to experience the pain? Do you want to just face it and take it all so that you can clear it and move forward? Or do you want it to just like come hit you in the head, over and over again for the rest of your life in the most like inconvenient moments? There is no third option, right? There is no like option where you put it away forever. I guess the other option is like you start doing addictive behaviors. That is kind of it. So entitlement, yeah, absolutely. Entitlement, the definition of it would be wanting to feel different from how I feel and completely resisting how I feel now, right? So you're allowed to want to feel different from how you feel. That's fine. You can't control that. You want what you want. But the only way to move in that direction is to actually feel how you feel now. So I hope that um, kind of helps with that. But yeah, entitlement, I'm winning too much, I'm losing too much. It's all the same. There's like people want to say that categorize all the different kinds of tilt, but it's just one, right? It's very simple. Um, Tilt, which causes you to make different decisions than you otherwise would, that you're going to be unhappy with, is always the result of not facing and feeling the experience that you're having, because it changes how you think. Your mind and your level of presence, they're linked, right? So when you're present, connected, feeling what you're feeling, open to whatever's happening around you, you have different thoughts, you have different ideas, you have different abilities to execute on your thoughts and ideas moving forward. When you're disconnected and you're not feeling and you're not facing stuff and you're resisting everything, your brain operates completely differently. All right, so I hope that helps. All right, we'll go down the list. Next question says, I think what's a bit elusive is how to concretely work on this. I guess you'll say meditating. I don't actually say meditating. Um, like I would just go back and do the thing that I just walked you through, right? It's super simple. It doesn't take that long. The only catch is you have to do it all the time for the rest of your life. That's the catch, right? So it's incredibly simple, incredibly easy to do if you're committed to doing it. If you're not completely committed to doing it, and most people are not, you'll find distractions from it, right? And so the kind of the way that people kind of perceive meditation now is I'm going to set aside time, and I'm going to set aside time to have the experience that I'm having. That's what it is. But I want, like when I work with people, I want you to go beyond that, right? I don't want you to wait until you have 20 minutes to sit quietly to feel what you feel. I want you to learn how to feel what you feel as you're playing the next hand. I want you to learn how to do this at such a high level that it has no impact whatsoever on you needing to like stop your life, right? So there's this idea out there that like, oh, if I'm being mindful, that means I'm not doing other stuff, and that's just not true, right? Like, um, if you want to perform at a high level, life's not going to stop for you to close your eyes and focus on your breath for 15 minutes. You need to be able to do this while doing the next thing, and that's the highest level of this. So at the beginning, yeah, you can set aside time. But ultimately, what I want for all of you is a deeper level of mastery of this than needing to set aside time. I want you to be able to do it in this moment, right? So at this point, 15 years in, doing all of this now and doing it with my clients all day, every day, I can tell you that this is doable. I'm doing it right now as I'm talking. I'm connecting to the experience that I'm having, and so it's a meditation of sorts in terms of the experience that I'm having matches probably what you believe a meditation practice would give you. But I want you to know that you can have this, anytime. All right. The next question is, yeah, letting go is so difficult, right? So if you're not letting go, the thing that you're missing is that which each thought that you have that you're not able to let go of, there's the feeling that you're not going into, right? So you need to go into the feeling in order to let go of the thought, to let go in your mind. And that's the thing that you're missing. And that's the thing that if you truly commit to it and you go back and you listen to this a few more times and you really do the practice of being in your experience, in your body, in your nervous system, total acceptance of it. This is exactly how I feel. There's nothing wrong with this. You will start to find that your ability to let go will change quite a bit, right? Because the reason why you're not letting go is because you're not actually taking in the full experience. You're only taking in the part of the experience where you're thinking about stuff. And that's just this part in your head. You have this whole other thing that's going on along with that that you're not tapped into, that you're kind of cut off from it. And that's kind of like a modern problem in today's world. You know, phones and internet and everything is to take you out of the experience of feeling what you're feeling and get you into your head so that you will pay attention to them. And so I hope that if you take nothing else away from this, just know that like not letting go is not just about the thought, it's about the full experience that you're feeling in your bones that comes with the thought, and you're missing that. And so what I hope to do in this moment is to plant the seed in your mind that the next time you have something that you're not able to let go of, you'll check in and actually feel what you're feeling and completely accept that that's what's going on. All right. So yeah, Pavel's got the, you know, dunking on social media. Yeah, like the world is designed to kind of disconnect you now from feeling what you're feeling, because when you're disconnected from feeling what you're feeling, you become more vulnerable to, I guess, like buying stuff that other people are selling, right? And so people are incentivized to kind of disconnect you from feeling what you're feeling, because when you feel what you feel and you genuinely accept it, you no longer need anything external to make you feel better, right? So all the addictions, drinking, smoking, binge watching content, uh, swiping on the dating apps, porn, food, it's all the same, right? All of it is take me away from feeling how I feel. I don't want to feel how I feel right now. Give me this thing. Well, that's what all of those other mindset strategies do too. It's the exact same thing. I don't want to feel how I feel around this thing not going my way. So let's talk about, how I could eat healthier. Let's talk about, why you think this happened. Let's talk about why you shouldn't feel bad, right? So it's all the same. There's no difference. The fundamental thing that connects all of them is that they encourage you to not just have the experience that you're having. And I want to encourage you to go the opposite way and let you know that you can have everything that you want in terms of the level of peace that you desire, regardless of results, if you just change this one thing and you completely dedicate yourself to it. Most people won't. That's okay. But anyone who does, you will be very, very happy about it. All right. Next question. Do you have any advice for moving up in stakes and challenging yourself? I feel like I've been complacent in the games I've been playing and feel a little bit of an imposter syndrome when it comes to moving up. Great. So this is a great example of how we can apply this exact topic to this question, right? So you move up, you feel imposter syndrome. Okay, so that's a label in your mind, imposter syndrome. What is the actual experience that comes with the thought of I feel like a fraud, right? That's the thing that you're not letting yourself completely experience, whether it's, I feel shut down, my body starts shaking, I feel cold, I'm frozen, right? Whatever the experience is, you're not letting yourself have it completely because you don't want to be an imposter, right? You want to feel like you belong. And so your training has taught you to push it aside, probably, study more, work harder. I get it, right? You're all here because you're a Poker Academy member, so you work on your game. But I can assure you that no amount of working on your game is going to change this feeling until you actually go into this feeling. That's what's going to change this feeling, and that's what's going to allow working on your game to actually be as powerful and impactful as you want it to be, right? So the solution, the workaround is not to work harder. It's to, if you're going to work harder, also work harder inside yourself to make sure that every time that you have that thought, I don't belong here. Like I can't make it at this stakes. I feel like a fraud. Who am I to be playing at these stakes? Right? That each time you have that thought, well, you need to check in and take a breath and feel what's the experience that I'm having with it. If you don't do that, you might still win. I won't lie. Plenty of guys have gone to the high stakes. The problem is that they're now at high stakes and they still feel like imposters. There's no amount of money you can win. You could be the #1 winning player in the whole world. You'll still feel like an imposter, and you won't be able to enjoy your success. I promise. I have lots of clients who are at very high stakes who come to me with this exact issue, right? Playing, I have guys playing as high as, 500, 1K cash, right? Who at the beginning show up this exact issue. I feel like an imposter. Well, chances are they were feeling like an imposter when they were playing, 1/20th of these stakes, 1/100th of these stakes. They probably felt like an imposter the whole time, but they tried to just grind through it with more study, more work. Again, logical solutions for emotional problems. Doesn't mean you won't win more money, doesn't mean it's not possible, but it does mean that each step that you go up, the pressure, the tension that comes from that imposter-ish feeling will get worse because now there's like even more at stake. Now you feel like even more of a fraud. And so I don't know what level you're at, but wherever you are, it's best to start now if this is an issue that you're going through. Is each time this comes up in your mind, go into the feeling completely for as long as you need to go until you feel some presence, you feel connection, you feel some more okayness with, okay, this is how I feel. Okay, I can go forward and do whatever I want to do next, right? And it's going to come up over and over and over until you have completely gotten at ease with that feeling. Once you have felt it so many times and each time it comes, it's not scary anymore. It's just like, oh, this is happening again. It's no big deal. and you feel it again, then it's not going to be an issue anymore. And then that thought that comes with that feeling is not going to come anymore of, I don't deserve to be here. It's going to have nothing to do with how much you learn or how much money you make or what level you get to, I promise. I hope that helps. All right. We got a non-poker related question. I lost the mother of my child. I never processed it properly. Just put it away. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, so feeling completely broken every time I think about it. Yeah, so same deal, and my heart goes out to you. So sorry to hear that. And it's it's the same, right? Like, so this is the highest intensity version of this. So, most of the stuff we talk about in the poker world is like, okay, money, right? Maybe some self-worth stuff comes into play. Here we're talking about, the highest level of pain, the highest level of loss. But I want you to know it's the same, right? And is it harder to go into this highest level of pain and suffering? Yes, yes, it is. Does it take longer to kind of heal through this and go back into it over and over? Is it brutal sometimes? Absolutely. Um, yeah, but I promise you that, like, if you want to be able to move forward, and moving forward doesn't mean like forgetting about it, but it just means like having more space inside you to accept that, like, yeah, this is what's happening. This is what happened. This is the work that needs to be done, right? And my training was not poker specific. My training, the people in my cohort who we all trained together for years, mostly therapists, right? Almost all therapists looking for new tools, new ways to help their clients. So this is really what it's for. All of life, it's not just about how to perform better. I like to apply these and talk about these in the realm of performance because this is my passion in life. But, really, like, if we're talking about being present with your feelings, there is no higher level of it than doing it everywhere in your life, right? And the more that you do it everywhere in your life, no matter how good, how bad things get, that you just are able to let it in, the more easy it becomes to do at the table, right? And it can be the other way around too. The more you do it at the table, the easier it gets when life hits you in the gut to feel what you feel. And so it works both ways, but it is the same process. It is just to, like, the highest degree of intensity. And so if you want to prepare for this stuff in life, and when have real hard stuff in life comes up, to be able to move through it and still feel like you are yourself and you're capable of moving forward and living your life and feeling okay even though it sucks. Poker is an amazing training ground to do this because it gives you opportunity after opportunity, endless chances to embrace the experience that you're having and allow yourself to have it. All right, go to the next one. It says, my poker journey goes on. As it goes on, the stakes go up, the close calls are more costly, the entitlement to win goes up as well. When the downswings come, how can I dissociate my value identity with the results, as the duration of the downswings can be fairly long? Great. So, yeah, so here's the deal, right? So as you go up in stakes and you play for more and more money, the level of intensity of the experience that you have will tend to get bigger. For very few people, it will not. Those people are just kind of freaks. For the rest of us mere mortals, as we go up in stakes, the intensity of the experience ratchets up exponentially, right? So each time you go up, it's not, if you double the stakes, the intensity of the emotion doesn't double. It tends to go up, like, more than that, 4 or 5 times. And so you've got to be ready and fully committed to feel and embrace that highest level of everything, right? Not just the pain, right? But also the exuberance, the happiness that comes with winning. You got to let that in too, 100% all the way. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to enjoy moving up in stakes. And so when it comes to this question of, how do I dissociate my value and identity from the results? Well, that comes down to total acceptance of how you feel at each point along the way, right? So if you have total acceptance, that is essentially a code word for total love for yourself in that moment, right? So if we're talking about self-worth, means self-love. What is love? Love for yourself is total acceptance of how you feel in each moment. If you love somebody, if you genuinely love somebody, you completely accept who they are. You're not trying to like change anything about them, right? So if you completely accept somebody and you have no desire to change who they are and you totally accept everything about them, you love them, right? They are one and the same. So if you want to feel confident in your ability to feel like I am me and I feel good about me regardless of the results, well, you've got to accept exactly how you feel no matter which results you're getting, right? So if you resist feeling the pain, feeling the emotion, feeling the sensations, the experience when you're losing, you're not accepting who you are in that moment. You're not giving yourself love in that moment. Therefore, your results and your feeling become tied together. They're now bound, right? But when you learn how to love yourself, completely accept the experience you're having, regardless of what's happening, now they are separate once again. So that's essentially how it's done. Again, go back to this practice. Very simple, but you do need to be relentless about applying it. So yeah, hope that helps. But yeah, as you go up in stakes, the intensity certainly does ratchet up. All right, got more questions here. I'll go through as many as I can here in the next few minutes. If I don't get to them all, just message me, tag me. You can message me in the Discord channel. Just tag me in there, or you can email me or message me on Twitter. I'm everywhere. All right. So next question says, what would you say about quitting a job you are unhappy in? When you say you should feel the feeling, it will continue to come up through your life. Yeah, I love this question, right? So everywhere, 22 years of playing poker now. I've got 22 years of hearing poker players say they wish they had their own business. 22 years of people who have, regular jobs saying they wish they were playing poker. And the whole thing is that like I don't feel how I want to feel, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't quit your job, right? That's not it. What I am saying is that if you leave your job and go to poker without first facing everything that you're doing in your current situation, you will replay this in your next one, right? So the fix is not to like do something different. The fix is to do something different inside yourself. Then whatever decision you make will be coming from this place of feeling present, connected, and okay with things, and not making a change just to change how you feel, right? When you need to make a change on the outside in order to change how you feel on the inside, that's not going to last. And that's just going to come back, at some point in the next thing, and then you're going to jump to the next. So people do this in jobs, people do this in relationships, people do this in, everything in life of always believing that like if I change that thing on the outside, I will change how I feel on the inside, but very temporary. And the dynamic inside you of not facing and accepting the experience you're having will come back. Life has infinite ways to bring pain and discomfort, and it will find you. All right, try and get to 1 to 2 more. Maybe this will be the last one. So I love the idea of automatic and constant presence being an extension of meditation. Always felt meditation practice was a primer for living in a constant state of presence. This makes me wonder if meditation and presence to feel better when more is a practice in logic. I need to do A in order to do B. So yeah, I don't know, right? So what I will say is that I advocate for this practice of going into the feeling because that in itself is just the reward, right? Like feels good to just feel it, feel the release of the burden, the pressure, all of the ways that you've been adding the suffering. Amazing, right? Does it tend to increase win rates? Yes, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't have all the clients and all the business that I have. I probably still have a business, but it wouldn't be poker specific because I need to deliver results on the felt too, right? So does it create more income, more earnings? Yes, but if that's why you're doing it, I don't know, right? So I would encourage you to come at it from this place of like, I'm doing this because it gives me relief from how I feel. The benefit of the money that I get from it is a nice, very, very nice extension result of that. I question that if you use the money as the reason for doing this, that you will get the full benefit of the practice of the release of the feeling, because really you gotta want this for its own thing. You gotta want to face the experience to have this for yourself, just your own inner world. If the money is the motivation that's external, I do believe that will probably get in the way of you having the full experience. Could it still have some benefit? Probably, but you probably won't be able to consistently show up day in, day out, applying it to the level that you will need to go to your highest levels of performance, because ultimately, like I said, external motivation doesn't last, right? And the only motivation that lasts is the internal kind, the one that you genuinely feel excited to do because it really just feels great, and that has nothing to do with money. So yeah, I hope that kind of clears that up. All right, so yeah, that's it for the questions here. Thank you all for showing up, listening. I hope that at least some of you have gotten some real valuable stuff out of it. I will send this recording along with a webinar I did in January for Poker Academy, along with my book, Poker with Presence, along with my warm-up exercise. Lots and lots of good stuff for all of you who joined my newsletter this week. All you got to do is sign up, and I'll send it all over to your email inbox, and you can start using it right away to feel way better. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Otherwise, I would hope to see you reading the newsletter soon. Yeah, thank you so much again for hosting me, and I'll be sure to come back again someday. All right, take care.